The music's not playing. You know what? I actually think that's momentous.
It played for me the first time.
It's playing for you? Wait, hold
Yeah.
on. Oh, I can't hear it. Okay, hold on. I'm going to play it now. Is it playing?
Yeah. This is how every podcast should start.
I hope you
Is
can
it
hear this.
on? I don't know if it's on.
You're going to have to tell me when to stop it.
Steve, is the music playing?
Hello.
It's working.
Wait, did it start now?
It's playing. We have a theme song.
Okay, I have no idea when that started or stopped, but I'm not stopping because
I love this for us.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
I'm Sammi.
And I'm Steve.
And you're listening to a cursed podcast or watching it.
I love this.
Yeah, this is actually kind of perfect because today, I don't know why I can't hear it, but today we are doing something completely different. So I think it's like a really good time to talk about this because you might have noticed, maybe you haven't, you've got things that you're doing with your life.
Sure.
But we haven't been covering The Golden Bachelor. And we haven't gotten back to The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yeah. And it's not because we're deeply ageist and also hate Mormons. Believe it or
No.
not.
Well, yeah, it's because we were like, hey, censorship, that's fucked up. There's a lot of other things that are going on that's fucked up. But, I was actually trying to watch Community today. I was trying to show Tuck Community for the first time. That was why I was grumpy because I could not access Peacock for the life of me. It was really annoying because we don't have Hulu right now. So because we're like, we're going to stay off of Hulu for a while. And you and I have to mutually decide like when we go back.
Yeah.
But right now in my family, in my household account, which maybe is owned by my parents, whatever, we totally don't share streaming services.
No, why would you
and
do
I
that?
don't get texts from my mom saying, what's the HBO password again?
Just like I don't pirate everything.
Yeah, we do everything on the up and up here. But
Yeah.
right now we don't have Hulu. So I was like, well, where can I show him Community? And turns out it's on Peacock. And there were all kinds of technical difficulties today. And a bunch of people were reporting outages right when I wanted to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me really crabby on top of everything else. But what I was going to say is this, what we're doing is basically what Britta did. Where she says, like, I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty. Like, we're like, well, now that they've come for Jimmy Kimmel, we're not going to cover. No, but we were like, let's talk about something different. Maybe we should watch some movies about like censorship in the media and talk about it. Because did you know that we
the
both
state
have
of things.
Well, yeah, but also did you know we have master's degrees in media studies? Why?
We
I
do.
don't know, but we do. So I was
What
like,
do we use those for?
Talking
Talking
shit.
about The Bachelor mostly. It's good. No, this is actually right in my wheelhouse because I talked The Bachelor with Sammi, and believe it or not, I am a full-time weekly podcasting man with a podcast called Optimism Vaccine, where we talk about movies. So this is a thing that I love to do, and now I get to do it here. So this is great.
Yes, and for those of you who have listened to this or watched this in the past couple years, you might not know that Pop Culture Diner was intended to be like this larger catch-all for many different shows. So I even I don't even know if I even have them anymore, but I was going to cover Riverdale with somebody. And then they had to like go to law school or whatever.
Boo.
And then I was covering horror movies with another friend, and she had to like have a baby or whatever.
Boo.
Actually, that's like my favorite kid. I will be very honest about that.
Sure, they're fine.
Best
I never
kid.
met them. I don't know if they're any good.
She is the best kid to live, in my opinion. But yeah, so those were other things that were going to fall under it. I had talked to people. I even had like some video game related stuff, like video game movies and things like that. So it was going to be like, here are all the things at the diner. So I know I've explained this before, but for those who haven't heard this, so Rose Plate Special was like the Bachelor show within Pop Culture Diner. So we've been talking about, like, are we gonna keep doing it? What are we gonna do? Is the franchise gonna die? Are we gonna stay till the bitter end? I feel like there's plenty of other Bachelor stuff we can cover, and I do still wanna keep covering it to some
Mhm.
extent, so I think we'll kinda feel that out and decide when it's right, but skipping the Golden Bachelor just, like, felt spiritually right because
It
Mel
did.
is, like, a fucking loser. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah, yeah. And hey,
allegedly.
joke's on you, internet. We could talk about all kinds of bullshit. So,
Mhm.
ah,
That's the good thing. We seriously are both really well versed in yapping. And so yeah, we were talking about, like, okay, let's talk about maybe censorship, media, things like that. And there is so I used to cover horror movies, and there's a new thing that I'm working on launching called The Horrors Persist. And it's going to be its own podcast where I cover horror movies and books and all of that. And I bring my friends with me to talk about that. So,
lovely.
yes, I would consider this like a crossover episode. This is like our soft launch into doing more of those, because obviously I'm going to invite Steve to do them with me when he wants to. And
Mhm.
I'm going to have a few other friends come with me too. And we're going to cover a lot of that stuff. So, to talk about the horrors today, what we are going to cover, and actually before that, I'm going to share some good news. Here's the best bright spot to come out of Bachelor Nation in the last day. Literally, I got this
The
email
last day.
today.
Okay.
I got this email today. The Jilly box. I know you were all worried for my well-being, my mental
Yeah.
health. Jilly is going to ship to the US in the winter.
She's defeating the tariffs.
Thank you,
Chile
Jilly.
defeats Trump.
Thank you, Jilly. She said,
Amazing.
she's like, I just got married. I'm not going to let this man ruin my sparkle. Okay. I am shipping
Mhm.
these to the US. No add-ons. We can't have add-ons, but
Mm.
that's
Hey,
okay. That's
we'll take what
okay.
we can get
I'm okay.
in these dire times that we're living through. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah,
Yes.
I'm excited about this week, and it's kind of
Yes.
fun to just sort of like spin the wheel and look at films that are good at maybe helping us understand the current state of things and what we're going
Yes.
through. And it's especially fun because this movie is old as shit. It's
And it
like,
was your idea, and I'm
oh
so
yeah,
glad.
it was my idea.
I wanna
That's
give
why
you
it's so
credit
good.
because it was so good. I was like, there's a couple that I have also suggested or we mutually suggested, but this was one that I had never seen. Sorry, you can keep introing it, but I just
No,
wanted to give you
no,
credit.
I thank you, thank you.
You're
No, I
welcome.
really because we were talking about different movies, and I don't want to list them all off because maybe we'll end up doing some more of these. But I was like, oh, we got to do a Face in the Crowd because it's 70 years old, and it's one of those movies where there's clear cultural touchstones at the time, which I'm sure we'll discuss, and then as you move through the decades, it's like, oh, we've learned nothing, and these things keep happening. And that's the joy of modern living is every new horror is just an old horror that's been reheated in some way, shape, or form. And
Yes.
this is great because we get to talk about how Andy Griffith was the first influencer.
Yeah, okay, wait, what was my letterbox review? Now I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I was really proud of it.
Are we even
Let me
friends
find it.
on Letterboxd? We need to.
I don't know,
How is
you
that?
should be.
I'm gonna be. I'm gonna
Well,
find
it's
you.
funny because I just started a
It sounded
letterbox account.
ominous. I'm gonna
Oh, I'm
find you,
gonna be.
Sammy.
It's just Sammy Ditto, like, where it is everywhere, and that's
Yeah,
not a
that's
secret to
literally
anybody.
what I just searched for because I figured that was you.
You're like, "I'm guessing it's gonna be that." Yeah, my review said, "It's like what would happen if the guy from Being There was a dick," which I thought was a pretty good review.
Pretty much, like, that
Yeah.
nails it. That nails
Thank
it.
you. I was really proud of that. Like, I thought of that and I was like, that's the review. So I think what we should do is we could do, like, this is what I've done in the past. I mean, you do the movie podcast, so you're the
Mhm.
expert. But what I'm thinking we should do is, like, have maybe a short, mostly non-spoilery synopsis, and then kind of say, if you don't want to know anything else,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna spoil it. And I tend to reference other movies alongside movies that I watch. So
Mhm.
there are just spoilers abound. So if you don't like that kind of stuff, if you're allergic to that, I'll put a list of other things I reference, I guess, in the
Yeah.
show notes.
I think, and the cool thing about this is it's pretty damn straightforward. And
It
it
is
is
very straightforward,
a
yeah.
star is born. Oh no, that star's an asshole.
It's
And
a milkshake duck
it,
movie.
truly, it is Milkshake Duck the movie. Um, but yeah, it stars Andy Griffith as Lonesome Rhodes, a name that is coined by a woman who does like a it's almost like a man on the street type of radio show, or I guess woman on the street in this case. And her thing is there's interesting people all over the place, and you just got to find their stories. And she calls it a face in the crowd, and it's this small time like northern Arkansas radio show on a family owned radio station. And it's this cool little concept she has. They're not making a lot of money, they're not really doing a lot, but she's committed to the idea. She decides to go to the jail to interview some people that have been arrested. And one of the people that was arrested was a drunk drifter, played by Andy Griffith. And she finds out that he's got a guitar and he can play guitar, so she wants him to play a song. And wouldn't you know, he's a very charismatic fellow, and he can, play this guitar of his. And she records him on the radio, plays the recording on the radio, and we've got a hit on our hands. Wouldn't
Yes.
you know? Wouldn't you know? And the thing is old Lonesome Rhodes is, as she coins him, because his name's like, what is it, Lawrence or something?
Yeah, something like that.
And it doesn't work as well.
Every once in a while when they said his name in the movie, I was like, who? And then I was like, oh, Lonesome Rhodes.
Yeah. But really, it follows this line of logic that is quite simple, which is if you are a charismatic, entertaining populist, you know, um, that doesn't make you good at leading other people. And Mr. Kazan, who directed this film, he wrote a little bit about it decades after its release. This was a huge flop when it came out, by the way.
That's so wild to me.
Yeah, because it was one of those things where it's just like, this could never happen. It's like, well, but he wrote that, and I quote, "The qualities in a man which enable him to make money are not related to those necessary to govern well, guide a nation, or provide wisdom to others." So if that is not like the perfect encapsulation of not only this movie, but, the general state of everything, it's pretty much it. And wouldn't you know, we follow the meteoric rise of Mr. Lonesome Rhodes, and we get to see that he's not some just down on his luck drunk drifter. I mean, he is, but he's a manipulative asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And he is playing a character, essentially. Gee golly williker, I'm just a Southern boy, and boy howdy, I don't like these here politicians and these here city folks and their big city ways, blah blah blah. While he's like hawking vitamin pills and shit. And what he ends up doing is, he's playing both sides of things. He's playing these suits the big New York station that ends up picking him up, and then the Nashville station that ends up picking him up. And he's playing the people that he's speaking to. He's looking directly into the camera. He's giving his folksy knowledge. He's playing his songs. Oh, guitar's better than a woman, like whatever he does. This whole thing, this whole shtick, and people buy into it, and they keep buying into it, and we get to see kind of the repercussions of that. And at first, it's kind of fun, right? Like there's a part where he's just like, "Man, that sheriff sure is a dog. Would be funny if we all brought our dogs to the sheriff's house." And then cut to everybody's bringing their dogs, and the sheriff's like, "Oh, geez, haha, we all have a good laugh." Or he tells this little anecdote about how, a firm mattress, I hear it's better for your back. So why don't we get rid of it? I'll just sleep on the floor. And then you've got all these people like running to buy like his endorsed mattresses. This is the whole thing. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And he realizes how much power he has over people. Because it's not about like explaining like your value or anything like that. It's about making folks love you. and then they'll follow
Mhm.
the ends of the earth. And if this sounds familiar, well, it is. Maybe a story of a person who plays a great businessman on TV, even though he's not really a great businessman. And in the background, he's filing for bankruptcy. He's defrauding folks. He's defrauding charities, and but everybody thinks he's just one of the guys. He's the president's just like me. He pisses in a golden toilet. What's there? But yeah, this is a wonderful indictment of the contemporary political class and also influencer culture. And I would argue with the kind of proliferation of social media, and everyone is always on. You're always on, whether it's 24-hour news or it's TikTok or it's wherever, you're always in front of an audience. And when you create these characters, all of these politicians, they are playing characters, and then we buy into it that this is just who they really are, when it's not at all, and it's transparently infuriating. So that's a face in the crowd, and that's today.
Bye,
How'd I
everybody.
do?
No. Yeah, I was like taking some quick notes when you were. Thank you
Mhm.
for the synopsis. That was really
Of
helpful. I
course.
think we're just gonna dive in, obviously. Yeah, I think one thing that's really interesting is you can see those, you know, I think right away, you know that this is someone who's like corruptible. It's not like there's sometimes, when you watch movies like this or hear about stories like this, it's like they could never go down that road. And then it's like, oh, with enough money and enough power, you too will be corrupted. But it's like, no, he
Mhm.
was kind of always a shithead. He was always a shithead. He's just good at covering it up, which I like that kind of story more because I think it's more realistic.
Mhm.
Not to say that people, I don't fully, I guess I'll get your opinion and this is mine, but I don't fully buy in when people say, like, oh, yeah, if you had this much money and power and what, like, you would be corrupted and you would do these things. I just think that there are people who are more interested in that kind of thing or
Mhm.
will exploit at any level they're at. And I don't think the money changes them. I think it just like augments who they already are. And I think, Lonesome Rhodes is a really good example of a character like that. Like we see throughout the movie, like past evidence of him being manipulative. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
the next, like his ex-wife pops up and she's like, oh, you're the new one. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so he's always been like this. It's not like because, it's like you see, I don't know why that thing you do jumped into my mind first for this, but it's like this little band in this little town and then they get famous and then it's like, ooh, glamorous woman, is attractive to me or whatever. And my, you know, small town girlfriend doesn't really feel the same. Like it's
Yeah.
not that kind of a
Yeah.
thing. It's like, no, he was always like that. And also after he was told you're looking at a 17-year-old, he was still like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
And they lay it out in the movie that that's inappropriate. It wasn't just like, oh, well, it was 1957.
Mhm.
They were like, they are children, she's 17. And he's like, well, that's a very nice child, and you're like, oh, well, then maybe he won't go there. And then he does anyway. And you're like, oh, yeah, because he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing. I think maybe you could become more corruptible once you get to a certain level of wealth, just because
sure.
your power grows with that wealth, and then it's sort of unchecked. People always talk about having "fuck you" money,
Right.
and it's literally like you have gotten to a point of wealth where the general rules of society don't matter anymore for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's just like, oh geez, why are poor people so poor? They just can't pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It's like, no, because being poor is expensive as shit.
Yeah.
And you get to a certain level of wealth, and all of a sudden, the cost of anything which is weighted towards normal ass people doesn't matter. So
Mm-hmm.
you can just live and function without having to worry about the day-to-day expenses. And so if you think of money as it's a resource. It's fuel for being an asshole. So Lonesome Rhodes, the dirt poor broke drifter, he doesn't have power because he doesn't have wealth. And the moment that he starts to accumulate a little bit of money and more power and more influence, it's like, kindling, like feeding a fire, essentially.
Yeah.
And he becomes just a bigger and bolder asshole, who's willing to do anything. And he knows what he is.
Right.
Absolutely, to his core. He's a manipulator and he knows it. And that's ultimately his undoing, is because he's on camera and or being recorded, audio recording, and he's just like, yeah, all these people that listen to me are fucking idiot yokels.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever, these hicks don't know anything, and
Which
you're like, oh.
comically is the one thing about this movie where I'm like, damn, that's unrealistic, because as Donald Trump famously said, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and no one would care. And he continues to push the envelope on that, to the point where it's so funny that there's people who, love Donald Trump and don't question anything that he does and support him just without fail. Just whatever he does, they're fine with it. But then they call themselves conservative. And there's like nothing he's doing is like some 1990s Bob Dole shit, I assure you.
Right.
Because I think your standard conservative is like, well, I disagree with you, and I think your policies fundamentally harm other people, so you're kind of an asshole. But at least you have an ideology.
Right.
And now, with this sort of like right-wing populism, there's no ideology. The ideology is self-enrichment and consolidation of power to fuel self-enrichment. And that's what you kind of see here with Lonesome Roads, is that's what he's doing. He's
Yes.
trying to consolidate his power. But then, you would like to think that there is some way to undo these people. But we haven't gotten there yet, unfortunately.
I need to grab books now. Hold on. Let me see. I don't know where my book is. I need a visual aid.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Sammy's
God.
grabbing smart people books off the
I
shelves,
don't know where
folks.
it is.
We're going to wave around Adorno and Horkheimer at you motherfuckers.
I have that too, I'm sure. No,
I don't know where my copy is.
I was
Who
trying to
borrowed
find
my Theodore Adorno?
I was trying to find. Hold on. If I don't find it quick, this will bore people. Hold on. I don't know. It's gone right now, but I promise you I have it, and it's all bookmarked to shit. But early this year, I read The Culture of Narcissism, and
Oh,
and a
yeah.
lot of things are coming to mind for me with that. But yeah, so my point with the fuck you money stuff, it's like, I just, in my experience, the people who reach there are people who are not assholes at the core, understand that there's only a certain level of success you need to reach, and they don't necessarily have a desire beyond that. So when it's like, oh, all of a sudden I got famous and all of a sudden I used it for evil, it's like, yeah, that's kind of part of the mechanism of the fame and the power and the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my argument. Not to say, I mean, obviously, oh my gosh, everyone was freaking out because Dolly Parton has kidney stones. Did you hear about that? Because like her
No.
sister like posted something, and she's like, I need prayer warriors, and people are like, are we losing her? And so she had to be like, no, I had kidney stones. I'm alive. It's okay. Everything's
Oh,
fine.
my God.
It's like, but she's one of those people that, people always talk about, because it's like she could be a billionaire, but she gives so much of her money away that she is not a billionaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, you have to, if you have a certain level of fame, money, whatever, yeah, you have to empower. You have to be like actively rejecting that, I think, if you are someone who's interested in maintaining your humanity. But my argument is, I feel like a lot of people who aren't interested in that just don't have it to begin with. But maybe that's me being
No.
really a negative Nancy. I don't know. But I'm trying to find my Culture of Narcissism notes as well. I know I have them somewhere. But it's, yeah, I think about that book a lot. I thought about it a lot while I was like watching the movie, and I also thought about a couple other things. Let me see. But yeah, the first sign of power, you kind of see like where it's like, okay, maybe he's redeemable, or maybe he can be rehabilitated into like a better version of himself or
Mhm.
whatever. It's like when the dogs show up, you know, and he sees what he can do, he was like, yeah, yeah, I did that, you know? And then it's
Mhm.
like, and the train has left the station. You cannot go back from that moment. Like, that's the moment that he for sure knew that like he could get people to do what he said.
Yeah.
And it's like a thing that I think he always craved and he always wanted, and now he finally has the venue in which to do it. And, you know, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name. Um, who's the main his agent, basically, the radio
Oh,
interviewer. What's her name?
we're doing really good here.
We're
The
doing no,
Maria? What?
Marie?
Marie?
Marsha.
Marsha. Hey, there we go.
Marsha. Okay, Marsha, yeah, Marsha Jeffries. By the way, Walter Matthau, seeing a young-ish Walter Matthau really confused me.
Oh, I know, right? Because you think he was just, like, born looking like he was
Yeah,
in
you're just
Grumpy
like, he's
Old
just
Men.
always old, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, this is the youngest I've ever seen Walter Matthau. But yeah, so Patricia Neal plays Marsha Jeffries. And by the way, she was married to Roald Dahl. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not
Yeah.
know that.
I know. I was like, that's pretty cool. Anyway. But yeah, so she's, you know, kind of the straight-laced, you know, by the book, you know, interviewer who's like, "Hey, I think we got something here. We're gonna make you a star, kid." And then Walter Matthau's character Mel kind of plays, and he like went to school at Vanderbilt, so they keep calling him
Mhm.
Vanderbilt. But he's kind of like, I don't know, like the checks and balances in the movie, right? Like,
Sure.
you know, this guy, like, get a load of this asshole. He's like that kind of a guy. Like, you really take him seriously. Like, I think he sees him as a paycheck, but he's like that, nothing beyond that. And we shouldn't let him get too big for his britches, right? And
Mhm.
like, you go into the writer's room and they're like, you know, welcome to, you know, purgatory or whatever. And you know, I feel like they even did like the like, is this maybe the first place that they did that with like the dartboard with his face on it? Because didn't they do that? Wasn't that in
Yeah,
the writer's
yeah.
room? Could this have been the origin of that
I
meme,
don't
like that made it
it's
through all these movies
hard
and TV
because,
shows?
like, I don't know. I mean, I it might be. Yeah. Yeah. I
Right?
don't know.
Because I mean, you see it in everything, and I'm like, what's the origin of that anyway? Okay, but I just thought about that just now. I was like, "Wait
Mhm.
a minute. It was 1957. That could have been the first time they ever used that." Um, but yeah, so we've got like this cast of characters, and then it's like these executives start coming in, right? So it's like there was like this British guy who said something like, you know, TV is the best form of mass persuasion there is. This is kind of like The Sound of Music, but instead of for talkies, it's for TV, right? It's like it's
Mhm.
exploring this new medium. It's like, okay, this is something that's piping directly into people's homes. Gosh, when you hear the ratings numbers on this movie, you're like, wow, remember when ratings were big because it
Mm.
wasn't splintered across all these channels? It's so weird to hear. Like, I think he said like 41 or something like that, and I was like, holy shit. um but you know, so it's like they're having this conversation about like this newfound technology, and here's the way that we're using it, and it's, you know, it's in everybody's homes. We can have this mass persuasion, and here's this really likable guy. So yes, he's manipulative, but also they are using him to sell products. So, you know, they have this mattress company come in and they're like, we want you to advertise this mattress. And even though he talks shit about it, he's so likable, you know, no publicity is bad publicity. And they just sell a ton of mattresses. And
Mhm.
of course, Lonesome Rhodes is like, I have integrity, like you said, you know, like I'm a man
Yeah,
of
yeah.
integrity. And then he's like, but like pseudoscience, yeah, I'm the first Alex Jones. Sign me up for that shit. I would love to drink
I love
this.
the energy from my vitamins.
Yeah, it's like this is just sugar, you know? And he's like, yeah, it's full of energy bites or what you know, you're just like, yeah, so these segments are fantastic. Whatever weird fake shit they talked about in there. But yeah, I mean, you see him kind of like he starts as rough around the edges and is someone who can sell these things because he feels relatable. He feels like a reflection of the people watching the show. He's got a lot of charisma. And by the way, I just need to say, I am angry. I watched this movie and it made me viscerally angry that Andy Griffith did not get more roles like this
I
because
know, right? He's
we didn't even
perfect.
mention it. He's phenomenal. Like
Well,
the
and think
range
about
is
like
insane.
culturally too, who Andy Griffith is and what he
Yeah.
represents, which is like the aw shucks, gee whiz, like this kind of like
Moral
salt of the earth guy,
compass.
moral
Yeah.
compass. And to play this role in 1957 is just it's perfect casting. Like you could not
It's
do better.
so meaty, it's so good, and it's sad, right? Because so this movie came out, like, 3 years before the Andy Griffith Show.
Mhm.
Like, 3 years before he got typecast. And then, and then there's Matlock, basically the same vibe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I read on his Wikipedia page, like, because I was like, God, has he done other stuff like this? Because I want to watch more stuff like this. And he did some movie, I can't remember what it was, in like the 80s or something like that, where he played kind of an asshole. And people didn't like it because they were like, this is not the Andy
Not
Griffith
my boy
I know.
Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not from Mayberry, whatever. And like people were
Mhm.
upset about it. And I'm like, how much did we miss out on? I mean, what an amazing career. You
Sure.
know, no one has a bad word to say about him, right? Like consummate professional, great person, like, good human being, two unbelievably successful shows.
Mhm.
Like that's quite a life to live.
Yeah.
But I just I like I watched this and it made me like what if? Like he could have been huge.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just like I don't know. Like when I think about like it made me think about like Marlon Brando or you know what I mean? Like there are Citizen Caney elements in the movie, this
Oh,
rise and fall
absolutely.
and all of that. And I'm like, you could have done so many more interesting things. Not to say, listen, I watched a lot of the Andy Griffith Show as a kid because we didn't have cable. So I watched it a lot.
Yeah.
But like, man, it's like I always thought he was a good actor. I think he's very likable and a great actor, but I just had no idea what he was capable of. And
Yeah.
it was great to see. It was so great to
No,
see.
he is so perfect in this, and I think part of the reason why is so this was written by Bud Schulberg, who I think he's most famous for writing On the Waterfront, which
Mm.
I don't know for sure, but it came out a few years before A Face in the Crowd, so I assume that On the Waterfront is what allowed him to do A Face in the Crowd. But the way that the Lonesome Rhodes character was initially written was a little more one dimensional. So he was just an asshole. And I
Oh,
think by
wow.
casting Andy Griffith and by Elia Kazan, you know, uh, sort of softening those edges, that's what makes the movie so damn good. It's this central performance because he's a bad guy. Like every
Mhm.
single red flag is up, every alarm bell is going off, but there's still something magnetic about him, and he lures you in. Some of the little folksy routines he does, it's just like, ladies, I know when your man goes off to work, he doesn't appreciate you working hard in the kitchen and blah blah blah. You're like, yeah, Lonesome Rhodes, and then but it's all part of this greater scheme, and that's how people like him, narcissists and the like, they draw you in with that, and Andy Griffith is able to tap into that perfectly,
Yeah.
and that's what makes the movie so special. Because I
Yeah.
love a movie where someone is clearly a piece of shit, but you're like, but there's something about him.
Yeah.
It's this is what I always say about Donald Trump. If I could wave a magic wand, Donald Trump is not the president, and he has zero power and zero influence. But he's still allowed to go around and do his little riffs and his little goofs because every time he talks, I'm just like, the guy's hilarious.
My
You gotta
favorite
hand it to him.
my favorite thing that I still have been stuck on is when like those astronauts were still stuck in space, and he said something like, "Well, I wonder if they'll like fall in love up there."
Yeah, I know, right? It's so weird.
I was like, "Why are you writing fan fiction about real people?
And he just
What's
says it like
happening?"
it's like it's always an aside with him, and it's the most unhinged shit. But it's so compelling, and that's why people are like, "Oh, well, just you wait, because after Trump's gone, it's going to be Vance or Josh Hawley or something like that, or Jim Jordan." It's like, no, these guys, they don't have, as the kids would say, the Riz. There's no Riz.
Right.
Trump's got the Riz.
Andy
Okay.
Griffith's got the Riz.
Andy Griffith has got the Riz. Lonesome Rose has got the Riz. That's how he gets away with being a dick.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it.
He's so good. And also there are some moments where you're like, is he being earnest? Like that
Mhm.
feels real. Like, when he says things like, well, like they crowdfunded basically a bunch of money to help out this family, right? And like
Yeah,
get him a
yeah.
new house and stuff. So there were things that he did, and it wasn't like he was kind of doing televangelist types of techniques, but it was for this community good. And there were moments where he was like, I want to do this for the people. Or like, he seemed to turn a corner and try to reform his ways and tell Marsha, like, I love you and I want to marry you. And then it's like the next day he gets married to a 17-year-old. And you're like,
Mhm.
oh, he tricked me, that son of
Yeah.
a bitch. Um, I should also mention right now I'm currently listening to the book In the Garden of Beasts. For
Ooh,
no are you familiar?
I am familiar.
Yes, Eric Larson in the Garden of Beasts. I'll put it in the show notes. For no reason whatsoever I brought that up. There's no weird things that have to do with anything else why I brought that up. But that's been really interesting to listen to that and watch this movie at the same time, and I knew what we'd be talking about. I'm like, cuz it's these people who are in, well, just, they're in Berlin at a very interesting time to be in Berlin. This was like
Mhm.
1933, 1934, I think. It covers a year. Um, and you see certain people start to become a little bit more powerful. And it's interesting to hear them talk about, like you're saying, like the charisma of certain people, the energy that certain people give off, how much they want to be around them or not around them, just like they're anybody else. It's just a really
Mhm.
odd, it's a really interesting account. I can't believe how many records they kept that, he was able to share, but it's pretty fascinating. I mean, he was an ambassador, so it covers like the family of this ambassador um in Berlin, an American ambassador. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there as something that might be something you'd be interested in. But yeah, I mean, one thing I haven't really watched any of Andy Griffith's monologues that he
Mhm.
did like before this movie, which obviously would be, I'm assuming, the reason that he got cast,
Yeah.
because that's basically what his role is, right? He did a
Mhm.
bunch of monologues, but he is, like, in real life and in most of the things that he did, very likable, like we're saying. So yeah, it's like he just like adjusted the knob just enough to, yeah, make him this really unlikable person. It's like an It's Always Sunny type of feel where you're
Yeah.
like, God, I just can't stop watching this asshole.
Yes. That's exactly it.
It's just so good. Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple other things. Let me see. There's a couple other moments that I wanted to talk about. Um, uh, yeah, so this was another thing that was really interesting. They talked about politics then, so it's like you see like the seeds of like these little things that they're doing, and then it's like, okay, now it's going to sponsorships. Okay, now the show is getting bigger. Now it's got like this national audience, right? And now
Mhm.
we're influencing the way like who we're going to promote for politicians. Um and there was a quote in the movie where he said, like, politics is people. And I
Mhm.
was like, damn right. Damn right it is. And yeah, I feel like you can see the culmination of, I mean, 30 years later, uh, an actor becoming president is
Mhm.
not too shocking when you see it feels like a very prophetic movie. And now, it's like the culture of narcissism kind of does the same thing. The book covers like this idea of, well, I mean, all kinds of different stuff. But one of the things that gets talked about in the culture of narcissism is this idea of like the navel gazy, self reflection and a desire to be known, a fear of history, an embracing of the future. All of these things that we seem to like in social media and on TV,
Mhm.
that just become attractive to people. And it's not necessarily about the individual, but it's about like the culture that supports it. It's a little about the individuals too. But um, yeah, I think there's so much that you can see in this movie with that rise and that amplification where even I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a year where we thought that wasn't possible. I guess 2016.
Yeah.
We were like, well, that's not going to happen. That would be totally nuts. We just have to worry about the living ham sandwich Scott Walker, and that would be the worst thing.
Mhm.
Which is just so funny to think about. A man with absolutely no riz whatsoever. Negative riz if that's possible.
Oh, no riz at all.
Yeah.
No riz at all.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
mean, gosh, I what are some of your favorite moments in this movie? Anything you want to point out that we haven't covered? I'm
I
like
kind of
going through.
love. So we mentioned that he's sort of like climbing the media rungs, right? And the scene for me that really solidifies who this character is and what he's capable of is he is offered $500 a week to do TV in Nashville. And he does this folksy sort of backwards negotiation where he's like, "Well, golly gee, I might not like it in the big city. I don't want to run off on you or anything like that. So why don't you just let me do the show for free? And if it's successful, then you can give me $1,000 a week." And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And then he goes around and the very first like live broadcast that he does, he stops what he's doing and instead of just like addressing the audience and letting the camera sort of like meet his gaze or anything, he walks directly up to the camera, puts his hat on the camera, and literally looks into the iris of the lens and speaks directly to the people that he wants to manipulate. And it is like the most powerful thing. Uh, and again, we go back to like just talking about how I was joking with the beginning of the show. I was just like, "Oh yeah, he was the first influencer." But no, really, like how many people are just out there, you know, hawking tummy tea and boner pills, looking directly into their phone and saying like, "Yeah, buy this supplement on the TikTok shop and your hair will stop falling out." And all of that stuff. And so many people have built personas and gained either, wealth or political power or influence by looking directly into a camera and being like, "Hey, it's me, a normal real guy." you know? So that's just like, man, that really resonated with me. I was like, "Okay, this is the difference between like a good movie and a great movie, and we've officially hit great movie territory."
Yeah, the whole movie felt that way to me for sure. Like it took a while to kind of take off, but I agree with you. When you see him in the studio for the first time, and like one moment that I really like about that part is where when he said like something like, "Well, what is it that I'm supposed to be looking at? Which of these holes am I supposed to be looking at?" And you
Mhm.
see him like upskill in real time, right? Like that very much feels like when people will do those like YouTubers' first videos
Mhm.
versus their most recent video or their first TikTok versus their most recent TikTok. Like I've seen a lot of fatigue with people lately with the overly polished, no longer relatable influencers that they all made popular. Like the
Yeah.
reason they're unrelatable is because you gave them attention, and that's like hard for people to grasp. Like
Mhm.
I don't know how much you're into like the beauty the beauty TikTok community.
Would it shock you to learn? Not very.
But, so beauty influencers, especially
Yeah.
on YouTube and TikTok, have really, I mean, they have massive real estate on those platforms. Like beauty influencers on YouTube are like just, I mean, I feel like they were kind of one of the first waves of influencers who really like made it big and understood how to do brand partnerships and
Yeah.
how to grow an audience. And of course, they were some of the first people to have like large scale scandals. Um, but there's one woman, and you might know who I'm talking about, Michaela on TikTok,
Mhm.
and she's got like this like really thick Boston accent and stuff. And people like, I mean, I would say even like 3 or 4 years ago, like as she was still kind of coming up, maybe she had like a couple million followers. I think right now she just passed like 17 million or 18 million or something like that. Um, but people around that time I saw started talking about like I started noticing people talk about her because um I it was like around the same time that there were like the fires in Maui and stuff. And
Mhm.
so she had talked about like not going on like a brand trip to Hawaii, and everybody was like really happy that she chose not to. And she was like, I just don't think it's a good look or the right time. And so a lot of people were saying things like, and I think she had made some other like choices that people had liked. So they were like, oh, she's so relatable. She's so good. Like, she's one of us. Like, she's one of the good ones, right? Like we made the right person famous. I saw a lot of people say things like that, like we made the right
Mhm.
person famous. And she's been in a number of like scandals since then, which I mean, whatever, like just weird stuff like, did she Photoshop this? And is that really that product worked that well? Like, whatever. I don't know. I can't comment on those things. Like, that's her own business. Um, and she did a thing, this was maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, where she was like complaining about her day. And she was like, she basically described working 9 to 5, and she was like, try being an influencer for a day. And people got like so mad at her about that. Um, but just recently, and I mean, that stuff is a job,
Mhm.
and people do get, especially on YouTube, you see a lot of burnout from people who just are like constantly pumping out content and trying to tend to the algorithm. But it is still such a privilege to do a job
Oh,
like
yeah.
that full time. So to complain about it, it's like it's like you got to touch grass. Like, what are you talking about? And this was maybe like a week ago. She just did this big luxury haul on TikTok, and it was like $200,000 worth of luxury stuff. And
Oh,
a lot of
God.
it was like kind of, in my opinion, kind of look like shit.
I love that when rich
You
people spend a
know,
lot of money on stuff that looks like garbage.
I'm like, okay, I don't know. It's like I can't I can't even think. I mean, there's a couple designer things maybe I would be interested in because the craftsmanship is good and it would last a long time. But it's like, I think, I mean, people who know me in real life know these kinds of things about me. I mean, I just got my dream car and it cost $10,000. Okay.
Mhm.
Like and that was my dream car. A $10,000 car. Okay. My dreams are very small and manageable. I don't know what I would do with a $200,000 luxury haul. But, it's just a bunch of like, overly branded Gucci stuff and animal print everything and whatever. And people were really upset about it because they're like, this person that I thought was really relatable and I really loved. And I mean, in the beginning, she had a very like bubbly, genuine personality. She also like looked like a normal person.
Yeah.
So I think people were just like, you look like me, like, and that's cool. And then she started like overly like photoshopping her face and her body, and people didn't like that. And and yeah, starting to complain about things that they couldn't relate to. In another vein, there was oh, what was his name? Hub's Life, right? Are you
Mhm.
familiar with Hub's Life? Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, so that I figured you'd know at least. But yeah, Hub's Life, he built his whole platform on having a 9 to 5 job. And then he got so popular that he quit his 9 to 5 job, but then still pretended to go to work for a while.
Mhm.
And people were like, what the fuck? And then he finally like admitted that he didn't have to go to work, and he still tried to get people interested in his daily routine, and people dropped off. They didn't like it anymore. And now he's like begging on TikTok live for galaxies. It's like kind of embarrassing. Talk about a rise and fall. So, it's like, yeah, once, that's why I kind of mentioned the milkshake duck. It's like,
Yeah.
and these are people we have a much wider window into their lives. It's like, people have watched them for followed their stories for years. They have this parasocial relationship with them. They feel like they know them because of the frame of, identity presentation that they've shown them, and
Mhm.
they feel really close to them. And then when they see something that, kind of goes against that idea, then they feel betrayed. They're like, "Oh my god, but I thought you were like this, but you're like this." Like,
Mhm.
that doesn't square with me. And they're also not, and they're being manipulated, right? The same way that Lonesome Rhodes is manipulating the audience. Like, all consumers of social media content are being manipulated,
Yep.
whether they're aware of it or not. It'll still influence you. That's why they're called influencers.
Exactly.
And, it's like they're being manipulated, but also they have, it's important to recognize your role in making these people famous and giving them attention.
Mhm.
Like, I often think about that scene in The Simpsons, the just don't look, just don't look all the
Yeah.
time. Like, there's a Treehouse of Horror episode where like all these like signs in town, like the lard lad donuts and all that, they come to life and they're like attacking the town. But the thing that you can do to get rid of them is just rid them of attention. um
Mhm.
Actually, Keith from the Try Guys just posted that video, and I'm like, I think about this video all the time, because Ned from the Try Guys well, not from the Try Guys anymore, came back and was like, I'm gonna do a podcast with my ex-wife and do
Oh,
a
yeah.
series on rock bottom.
That was
And
weird.
can I tell you, it was very vindicating to me because he acted a lot like someone I know acts, and I was like, wow. It I don't need to do a podcast like that now because I just watched it happen in real life, and that's exactly how it would go. And so it was very, very satisfying to me.
Mhm.
He looked really bad. She looked amazing. So
Yeah, yeah.
good for
Well,
her.
it's funny for him too because you know that, like, if he's gonna launch a podcast, how do you get anyone interested? It's like that basically has to be your first episode.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one's gonna give a shit. But of course, there's no way for him to do that and not look horrible. Like, what do you
It
do
was
at that
so
point?
bad, but it's like, yeah, it's like we create we provide the power to these
Mhm.
mechanisms, just like the signs in The Simpsons, just like Keith knows, just like I know. Um and
Yeah,
just like people are saying about Michaela, the same idea with Lonesome Roads. It's like these eyeballs, the people giving this stuff attention are the people that give it the power. And if you just don't look, it takes the power away, but you have to do it on a mass scale for it to work appropriately. And
exactly.
the only way the spell was broken in A Face in the Crowd was a hot mic moment.
Mhm.
That's the only reason he fell from grace.
Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, like, the next Secretary of Transportation is gonna be like Hawk Tuah girl or something. That's
Yeah,
that's the world that we live in.
it's just so weird, right? It's like I do think about, because like I just watched right before we recorded, I was having technical difficulties, like I said, and I was crabby, and I was like, let's just watch last week tonight, the latest episode, because I just don't want to deal.
Mhm.
So we watched the episode on, it's about presidential libraries, and they were talking about how this is actually great too because presidents have become influencers, even the ones who weren't trying to be, right? But they talk about like the archival section of the libraries, and then like the front facing section that people go to, and how there are so many records. It's going to take up to 100 years for them to be like fully categorized and done and ready for the public. So before that, and maybe even after that, it gives you this limited biased view of the presidents in their own libraries that doesn't give you like the full history. And they talked about how, like in the Clinton library, the the biggest scandal, that rocked his presidency wasn't covered in the library. And that gives you a really incomplete view. But it
Yep.
also made me think about, like, wow, there were so many things that were disgraceful and career ending in the past. Boy, do I miss that. Those were really nice days, weren't they? Like, all it took was for Lonesome Rose to say, like, these guys aren't very smart, to have people be like, well, I don't want to give you any money, and then all of his narcissistic injury, happens, and he just starts like lashing out, and then you're like, oh, there's the sexism, there's the racism. Okay, there's all the stuff you wanted to say, but didn't, but I knew was there. Like, it all came out when he's like alone in his, big lonely house, like screaming that he's gonna jump out a window if, he doesn't get his way. And Marsha's just like, which was like the best part of the fucking movie. I was like, yeah, if she
Yep.
doesn't tell him to jump, I'm gonna be so mad. You have to call his bluff.
It's
This guy's so
so
full of
good.
shit.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
such a great callback to earlier in the movie when he's just
Yeah.
like ushering like random girls out of his giant like penthouse apartment. And he's just like, "Oh, come over, Marcia. I'm so in this big old house, just a country boy like me, 25 rooms, and I feel like I'm trapped." And blah blah blah. And then, yeah, he's like, "If you don't come over, I'm gonna jump." It's like, oh, a manipulative narcissist piece of shit. Where have we seen this before?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
She
And
goes to
then
rescue him.
she
Yeah.
goes to rescue him. And how do you break free from that? That's what you do. When they say I'm gonna jump, fuck you, jump.
It's so good. And then you just have him, like the shot at the end, and he's just like wailing out the window. Oh
Mhm.
my God, it was so good. I was like, that's how it needed to end. And that's part of that like Citizen Kane feeling, I'm just like, oh, and you're left with nothing. You have nothing. You are nothing. It was just like so satisfying. Oh, yeah. I actually I'm glad you mentioned I could shoot someone in the street, because one of my notes was he said something like I could murder him, like about
Mhm.
like his audience or something like that, and I was like, oh, that gives very much I could shoot someone in the street. Um,
Yep.
yeah, and he said, "This whole country is just my own flock of sheep." Right? It's like he
Exactly.
doesn't hide it at all. Yeah. And then, yeah, as soon as he can't finesse someone, right? Like that's when he turns on him. It's like if he thinks he can finesse him, he'll be nice. But then as soon as he realizes he can't, it's like that's when he started calling Marsha like a female instead of a woman. I'm like, "Oh, that started that long ago?" He was like, "This female." And I was like, "Okay, incel." I was like, "I understand what you're doing." Um, and yeah, he sees everybody turning against him. At the end, he goes, "All of a sudden, I'm poison." It's like, yeah, you were kind of poison all along. You just like covered it up with like all this other stuff. So people didn't know, and it tasted sweet. And they didn't know they were slowly being poisoned by you. But um, yeah, I'm really glad that this was like, I would like to do a little bit more like this. I think it was a good first movie, and I definitely have some recommendations for people if they want to watch this and they want to read more and think more. Um, like I mentioned, Being There is a nice palate cleanser if you haven't watched that. That's what would happen if someone had a bunch of money and was cool and nice and good and liked TV in a good way. That's like one of my favorite like hope core movies. I don't know. Um, Welcome to Me would be another recommendation, kind of middle of the road there. Did you watch Welcome to Me?
I have not seen Welcome to Me.
You've watched Being There though, right?
I
I'm just
have watched
assuming.
Being There.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My mom's going to be happy I brought it up because that's one of her
Shout out
favorite
Hal
movies.
Ashby. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Me, I would also recommend. It's what would happen if someone with borderline personality disorder had a bunch of money. Kind of interesting. Uh, it's a really Kristen Wiig's in it, and it's weird, but it's like really good. Um, and if you haven't watched Citizen Kane yet, what the hell? Just go do it. The film bros were right about that one. Okay, I'll give them that one. They can have that. And then Network. I think we should do an episode on Network because that's just one of my all-time faves. And I think it pairs well with this movie. Um, for books, I would recommend The Culture of Narcissism.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a number one.
yeah, please read The Culture of Narcissism. I don't love all the stuff he talks about, especially with feminism, but
Mhm.
I really like the book. It's a very important book. I think everyone should read. Um, and yeah, in the Garden of Beasts, and then for some reason I put this on the list, but I don't remember why. So maybe I won't mention it. It'll be a mystery book. If I think of why I put it on there, can't remember. I put on a book called Food for Naught. It's all about it's really an interesting book. It's all about like food. Oh, I know why. Pseudoscience. That's why I put it on. Cuz he's hawking these fake vitamins and stuff like that. If you're interested to hear kind of like how did we get here? How did our food get the way it is and why does nobody care and what's going on with regulations? Food for Naught talks about it from the perspective of what was happening in the 70s and what happened with like some pesticide regulation and all that stuff and the scientification of food and newfangled blah blah blah, which I think ultimately had a major backlash and resulted in a bunch of distrust. And now influencers today are jumping on that, and that's why I yell about beef tallow all the time. So that's why I put it on there. It's a great foundational book for people who are like, how did we get here? And how did we get people to listen to influencers over scientists? It's a great explainer for that. So I'll put that all
Mhm.
in the show notes. Do you have some recommendations for the people?
No, I really like The Culture of Narcissism. I think like that's the a number one text that you should
It's
you
good.
should
It's
dive
an
into.
easier read than it's kind of meaty, but like just kind of like
Mhm.
let it wash over you
Also,
and
it's
like
the only
revisit it.
podcast you're gonna listen to where we're like, "Yeah, it's about a movie, and it's a real downer, and it's all about how the world's falling apart right now, and also here's some books you should read."
Yeah, well, we know our audience. Okay,
Yeah,
nerds. Here's
yeah.
here's your assignment. Here are your homework assignments. Any other movies you want to recommend? What else are we going to cover? What do you want to cover?
Well, I would like to recommend, but also I'd like to cover. I wanna do Network. Maybe that could be the next one that we do. So,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like it's a really good companion piece to this.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's what I'm saying, like,
It's like, oh, look at that. Leave it to a man to act it like it was his idea.
it's
For the
it's
record,
not my
I
idea, it's your
recommended
idea.
Network.
Yeah, yeah, you recommended Network. No, Network is, like, one of my all-time favorites. Y
It's
like
such
you
a good
said,
movie, and I
it's a
haven't
great
watched it in
companion piece.
so long. So I think it weighs really well. It's also like, what would you? Yeah, some of it has to do with if you had this influence and platform, and maybe you still had a conscience. What would
Mhm.
you do? Right? Like, how would you use it? I think it's
Yeah.
a great thinker for that. So yeah, we'll cover that next, and we'll see when we'll get back to some of the sillies. Um,
Mhm.
but
Oh,
I will.
another
Oh
good one that's a real bummer, and it's about, like, media sensationalization of sensationalizing things. Have you ever seen Ace in the Hole?
no.
Ace in the Hole. You should look
Okay,
that one up.
Ace
Uh,
in the hole,
Network has
friends.
gotta be next, but Ace in the Hole is a good one too.
Okay. Ace in the Hole will be our Ace in the Hole.
That's
Oh,
right. We're
1951. Nice.
yeah, I'm throwing out all the dusty ass movies for you guys.
Maybe we'll throw in some yeah, like Twilight Zone episodes or something like that too cuz I
Hell
think
yeah.
there's plenty of good stuff in there. I just like after Robert Redford died, I watched his episode and I was like, "Man, this is interesting cuz he plays death." So, it's like kind of weird to watch this at the same time. Um But we were just talking like today, um, Tuck and I were talking about Andy Griffith, and I was like talking about how mad I was, not getting to see him do more complex roles like this. And we got on the topic of like, he's like, "Oh, isn't it fun to watch actors in early roles though, like before they blow up, like how fun that is?" And he goes, like, The Twilight Zone was such a great show for that,
Mhm.
because you have like Robert Redford, William Shatner, and like, all these like really big stars who had like little roles in the show. It's one of our favorite shows to watch. And I was like, what's the equivalent now? Like Law and Order? I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like it's like Law and Order. So yeah, we'll kind of, I don't know, mix the old and new. We'll see when we get back to it. And we'll have a couple crossover episodes here, but I might start to throw this content over on a new podcast, The Horrors Persist, and I'll put the notes for that in the show notes so you don't lose
There we
us.
go.
It is the website is thehorrors.co. If you go there now, it doesn't look like much. But there is a blog about political violence over there. So there is amusing available. There will be episodes hopefully soon, and you'll hear about it here first. And then it's just thehorrors.co, like DOT co everywhere. I've just parked everything like a good marketer does.
Look at you.
But we'll start to maybe have a couple things over there and it'll grow. So we'll mostly stick to the reality and the silly, but we are capable of complex thought.
Yeah.
Steve more than me today, but
Well,
we are capable of it.
that's my Lonesome Roads trait is I might seem like a colossal dumbass, but underneath this dumbass surface, there's a brain. It's two little hamsters on two little wheels, just kind of chugging along.
See, and my brain is just it's like Charlie in It's Always Sunny, where he's got all of the
Oh
things
yeah, all
with
the
the
lines
string.
attached to the things. Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, Pepe Sylvia, like that's me. That is my brain where I'm just like,
Oh.
this reminds me of this. It reminds me of this. And when I watch this, and that's why, I'll do like 8-part movie reviews on TikTok where I'm like, here's 10 other things you need to watch if you like this. And you should also play The Sims, and that was about Don't Worry, Darling. So
Everybody should play The Sims. That's the major takeaway.
everybody should play The Sims. But like, fuck that EA deal.
Yeah, that shit's weird.
Yeah, that shit's weird. I can't wait to see what Simmers do with it. But yeah, we'll see you around soon, probably next week, for our review of Network, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there. And we will have a Jilly box for you, and we will have more Mormon wives for you soon-ish, I think. But until then, take care of yourselves and watch your content with discernment.
And don't do needle drugs.
I have no idea if the music's playing.
It is. It's playing. Yeah, see, it doesn't matter if we're discussing a serious classic film or a reality dating show. Fact remains, you shouldn't do needle drugs. And that's my influence. That's my face in the crowd moment. I could only assume there'd be more needle drug deaths without us.